Hi, hello, this is Jules the Human here, and welcome to the JulesTheHuman Anime Hour. I'm one of your hosts, Jules the Human, and every week we go out into the world and watch a little bit of anime, and we come back here and talk about it. And today was our first discussion for GRIMGAR Ashes and Illusions, GRIMGAR Fantasy and Ash, whatever name it is. We're watching that anime, and we're going to be talking about it today for the very first time. If this is your first time watching the JulesTheHuman Anime Hour, hi, hello. We have a ton of episodes. We've done a ton of different anime. As you can see here, we've ranked them from S to F, all the ones we like, all the ones we don't like. And we do got to say that this will be the last anime for season 1 of the JulesTheHuman Anime Hour. So after this anime, because we're coming up on 52 episodes of doing this, about a whole year, we are going to be going into season 2, change some things, make some things look a little bit better, get a little more streamlined, and see what else we can do. But doing the same thing, picking an anime out of the chest, getting your suggestions. Here are all the anime that are in the chest right now. And of course, we'll be talking about it with my co-host, Matt Galley. Matt, how are you doing today?
I am good. I'm still coming out of the emotional trauma that was the AOT finale this past weekend, but other than that, we're doing good. We're doing great.
Is it how long is it? How long is Attack on Titan now that it's all out?
Now that
how
it's
many seasons?
I mean, it's like 4 seasons and then like the two-part special finale.
Not bad, I guess.
It's not bad.
Was not it.
Bad.
If it's your thing, cool. Tell me in 1 minute or in one sentence, sell it to somebody that's never even heard of Attack on Titan. What is it? And why would I watch it?
I wish I could really get into that. I guess in one sentence, long-term character-driven narrative storytelling experience is how I would pitch the show in a nutshell. Without trying to spoil it, because there's just so many good things to say about the show, but
sure,
it all comes along with spoilers, honestly, if you're going to talk about it as a complete package that it deserves to be now discussed about.
Cool.
But yeah, but we are here to discuss a different show. We are here to discuss GRIMGAR, Ashes, Illusions, GRIMGAR,
Fantasies
of the anime chest, whatever.
Yeah, all the things, all the words. We're going to get into GRIMGAR, Ashes, and Illusions as it was on Crunchyroll, but there is a manga called GRIMGAR Fantasy of Ash. But they're the same thing. They're the same story. It's just a manga adaptation or the anime adaptation of the manga. So let's get into it. This is our first time watching it, and as we do here, we go through each episode, going a little deep dive into each one. So episode 1, Whisper, Chant, Prayer, Awaken. What happens in episode 1?
So in the world of GRIMGAR, we follow Haruhiro and a group of volunteer soldiers as they acclimate themselves into being a functional party that can battle monsters. They have all been brought here by some power and are at the mercy of the world they have found themselves in. We follow this group as they continue to struggle to defeat even just a few goblins.
Yeah, so we have a huge group of characters. Thank you, Shelbs, again for the 36 months. I appreciate it. I don't have my alerts here, but oh my goodness. Okay. Well, you got the lights going. You got the lights going back there. Thank you, CZ, for the Prime. Thank you for the 30.
That's what was going on.
Appreciate it. That's why I went back to my face there. I don't have your little words here. I don't know why it's not coming up in the comments. But thank you, Shelbs, for the 36 months. And then CZ, the big 30, bringing all the anime goodness to us all, the 2 most beautiful, amazing, damn right, succulent anime weaves I know, honestly. Succulent's a word to describe a human, I guess. But yeah, we have this huge group. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Appreciate the support for sure. We have this huge group of characters that we get to meet in episode 1. It goes through a bunch of them, and it's a decent start here. I'm cool with it. Um, Look, you can't just watch the first episode of Black Summoner and a dozen times and pretend it's a new anime. You're not fooling us. So we get a party of heroes,
But
right?
this is the inverse to what Black Summoner was, right? At least so far, it's a juxtaposition. Whereas he got introduced into a world where it was like, oh, you get this slime, the one slime you can summon. Oh, look at its stats. It's 100. It can fight even, these monsters. Now you can just power scale. But we get introduced to this party, and there's 5 of them, and they're struggling to even take down 2 goblins, which they acknowledge are the weakest monsters in this world. So they can't even take down a group of the weakest monsters.
Which was really funny coming off of the anime we just watched
Yeah, so
because
it's like, it's a nice juxtaposition.
it was a
It's
little jarring
definitely
to
the
me at
inverse.
first. It was like I was like, oh, because we're coming off of I'm the strongest ever. All my levels are 100, and this is I'm assuming it's going to be an isekai because they do talk about how they don't have
They have,
memories
yeah,
from past 2 weeks ago. Somebody mentions, oh my god, that's like a video game, and they're like, wait, what is that? What did I just say? So
it's
I'm
described,
assuming
that they impulsively use words that seem familiar, but they never really know the meaning, and it kind of feels like having something, get stuck in your throat as you're trying to eat.
sure. And it was super jarring because it was like, oh, here we are. We're back to where like I kind of like it. I'm cool with this more than the Black Summoner route where he's like, I'm super OP. Here's all the stuff. They are struggling, man. They are struggling. It's so interesting to watch. Claire says, yes, this is much better, though again, we have people with no memory. I
True.
have been I've been trying out a bunch of gotcha games because I'm trying to fill my hours at work and I'm reading manga and all this stuff. And I have so much hours to just idle there while I'm working from home. And I've been trying a bunch of gotcha games out, and all of them are like, oh my God, you've lost your memory. Here, you're the leader of our group. Don't you remember? Oh, we have to, you start up all the, I'm like, oh, this is all the same. This is so crazy. And then this one's like, oh, you forgot everything. Okay. It's just a really silly trope that gets pulled from so many times in so
Well,
many different mediums.
because it's a very easy way to give like a kind of a semi reset to a character in a state where you can introduce them to like a new world or whatever. Or in the case of a video game, it explains the reason as to why you, the player, don't know everything, even though you're about to embody this person that has all this power and control.
But
So within
every single gotcha game, every single one, oh, this guy, oh my God, leader, you have amnesia. And I'm like, oh, they said it again. Every
they
single
said
one
the
starts out the
thing.
same, but I get it. I know it has to be done. It's just really silly and overdone. But we get this group of characters, and the first thing that catches my eye is the background settings. Um,
Yeah,
let's
the
talk about the
art
art
style of the
style.
show. Yeah.
Yeah, the art is gorgeous for one. It's that hand-drawn style. A
Almost
lot of
like
the
painted.
backgrounds
It
look
looks like
crazy.
watercolor paint or something
Mhm,
like that along those lines.
for
With
sure.
the with the backgrounds and the environments, and then it makes the 2D hand drawn characters really stand out in striking composition.
Yeah, and it doesn't like feel out of place. Like the 2D animation movement characters don't feel like they're the 3D characters we saw in Black Summoner. Like they feel like they fit in because I don't know if we're used to it or if it's more similar, but it looks really good and I really like it. Bubsy, thank you for the 100 bits. I appreciate it. We're on a hype train. Thank you so much.
I
Thank you, thank
think
you, thank you.
with Black Summoner, the colors were really pretty, but it was like a lot of it was just very flat colored. Not like it wasn't flat like in composition, but the way the colors were just like used very deliberately. Like, oh, plain blue, like pretty sky, blacks, blues, greens, browns, and stuff like that. But in this, all of the colors like fade and wash into each other, so you get
Mm-hmm.
this beautiful mix of all of these different colors that are always on the screen. It's never just like a few different colors in the shot. Each shot
Sure.
you can click anywhere on the screen and you're gonna pull a different hex number, except for on the
Yeah.
2D characters.
Mm-hmm. Um,
Yeah, even
Shelf
it's
says,
muted,
I really
but
like
it
the
fits it
art.
really
It's so
well.
pretty. And Claire says this is very muted, but it suits it well. Yeah, yeah. For what they're doing, like compared to Black Summoner, it's not as vibrant, but I like the watercolor esque, like you said, where the paint is kind of running into each other and stuff. But already, and this is going to be a main thing
Yeah.
here for me, and maybe some people that did watch this anime. I didn't do that intentionally.
No,
Um,
but me too.
there's so much of the art showing off part. I'm going to call out the elephant in the room. There's too much open space in it to where I'm just like, okay, it's really pretty. It's really pretty, but we're staying on this shot for a really long time. And I'm
It does
like,
hold some shots.
so what are we doing here? And it was very apparent in this episode. It was very apparent in all 4 episodes. I'm going to keep bringing it up because a lot of it is a little awkward, a little like, what are we doing? And in a show that only has 12 episodes, I know me as a watcher, I know we're wasting time here. Like we don't have much time to tell this story. And in this first episode, we get the whole volunteer soldiers joining a guild. They all chose the different classes and all that stuff. That's cool. That's great. First episode, I'm fine with that. But going into the other ones, I'm like, we need to get going.
The first episode, I'm like semi okay with it, but I really think the show kind of fell flat in terms of like main character introductions. The only character that really got any characterization was the misogynist that was being
Yeah,
played for laughs. I think it was supposed to be funny. I don't know.
sure.
But that's really the biggest characterization we got out of everybody in the group is that, oh, this guy gives people a hard time depending on the size of their chest when he's upset at them.
Yeah, and I posted in the Discord too, where I was like, they were talking about boobs for like 5 minutes, and I'm like,
And then the episode just kind of ended after
yeah,
that without
and
anything else happening.
and I'm like, we didn't get a whole lot of information, and the only information we got were about boobs and about this guy that's making fun of girls, and I'm like, okay, cool. Let's go to the next one. You know what I mean? So it was just a little odd. Where would you rank it on an episode one? Is it
As a
decent? Would you continue watching the episode, or
as
would
a
you continue watching the
first
show?
episode, I think it's honestly pretty weak
Okay.
in terms of selling somebody on, hey, this is something that you've not you're gonna be in for something new with this one. It doesn't really do much providing that other than a few, like, again, the whole idea that sure they have those words that they call back to or whatever, and there's the shot of the moon being red a
Uh-huh.
few times, and that's like that generates curiosity. But other than that, it just like they just kind of meander around, and I don't get a great sense of like yeah, who I'm supposed to be rooting for. I mean, what's his name, I guess, but like, oh, like why
Ronto,
Haruhito, the main character,
the
I
main
guess.
character.
Yeah, like, I mean, he's kind of juxtaposed as the main character, but
Mhm.
like, why am I rooting for him, other than the fact that I can't even pull one out. Yeah, it's definitely an odd first episode in terms of its structure.
I
Yeah,
think
we I'm sorry, we also get characterization out of Renji, this like random person who goes off and starts another party, where we see that like he's somebody who's just kind of like that's not, opposed to just taking up all the space in the room and making it clear that he's going to do what he needs to get what he wants, whatever you can, however you want to put that. We
mhm.
get some characterization for him too, but other than that, the rest of our main party, who in the next coming episodes, like, it does a much better job of doing, but like we just don't get much for them.
I'm
And what this show
pretty
turns into, I feel like it would have been a lot more impactful if we did.
mhm. I'm pretty easy. I think I would have kept watching it just because it looked really pretty, and I just wanted to see more. So after episode one, I would have been like, okay, I'm cool. I'm cool to keep going, to give it the three episode rule that you normally give an anime. Like Dan said, I love the art style, but the pacing was kind of weird for sure. Claire says I was more interested mostly because of the amount they struggled, which I've not seen in other shows or D&D. Yeah, that was really what caught my attention too, where they're completely thrown off. And even in episode 2, they're just like not doing well. And I'm like, oh my God, like we're spending a lot of time here in this moment. And it's like, okay, there's something
Yeah.
here. What's the story? What's the
And see,
story that they're trying to show?
that's the one thing that yeah, like Claire said, the one thing that the first episode does is the first thing it shows us. When the show starts, I'm very like kind of what idea is the show going to present to me at the front,
That
and I
they
feel
suck.
like yeah, they
They're
exist in this
bad.
world underneath the strongest of the underneath the weakest of the weakest monsters.
All
They're rung
together,
under that. Yeah.
because they couldn't defeat him all together. Not even one on one, they would have been dead. Which is kind of crazy. I believe these are people from another world with no actual experience at all, for sure.
Yeah.
So it is believable in that aspect. Where in other shows that we've talked about, it's like, okay, man, like you got all the skills or whatever. So that was episode 1. Pretty decent, sort of middle of the road for Matt, a little bit lower. But let's get into episode 2. Long day of the trainee volunteer soldier. So what happens in episode 2?
So, Haruhiro chats with Minato while the others sleep, showcasing how strong their bond is already growing. The squad decides to attempt to ambush a solo goblin, but they fumble their way dangerously through the fight. Deciding to take a break after the chaos, we follow each character as they enjoy some downtime before coming back together as a group to enjoy the sunset. Haruhiro struggles to ask Minato difficult questions, shrugging off his feelings in the moment. And Ranta continues to be a menace to the peace of Yume and Shihoru by attempting to sneak in on the bath while they are using it.
Mm-hmm. So this feels a little like a Dungeons and Dragons group. Like the more that I think about it, the more I look at it, um, they're all bad at the beginning. They still can't beat one monster. They're still coming to terms with actually killing whenever they finally do it. And then it's like some sort of shopping episode, and then one person kind of being a little weird with it. So like it does feel like it could be, more that I think about it, like a D&D game. It feels like they're playing a board game together as a group, and they picked all the different classes to help out each other, and then they just went into this, and then someone's being a little weird by trying to see the girls and all that stuff. So like there's something there. There's something to that point where this is all too token D&D.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's anything, but
Well,
that's what's in
the
my
way
head.
the way the show like structures it out with all the different guilds and how you have to be a part of a guild to go adventuring and yada yada yada. There's a lot of that stuff that I'm kind of just glazing over for sure.
Sure.
But it definitely adds to this world feeling, like more like game like, where you go to the guild to get your your guild gear. You could even equate that to Final Fantasy 14, World of Warcraft, etc. So it definitely all feels that way until it comes around to the point of when they finally manage to get the upper hand on a goblin and they kill it, and it's like it turns into a visceral experience, when it was initially kind of just they were kind of chuckling and how they kind of knocked it out initially without having to draw much blood, but then it got back up, and then stab, and he's like freaking out.
Yeah. So Bubsy mentioned them coming to terms with killing the goblin was an interesting scene. Something that we don't really go into in anime. So it kind of does show you what this anime is going for, right? Like it's going for the more realistic, like these people usually in a video game or something, where like, or Black Summoner, which we're just coming up off of, is like, ho hum, here they are, they're dead, they're whatever, they're doing all this stuff. But then like they finally get one of them down, and it's like, oh my God, like he's feeling it because he had to do it with his own hands, his own sword. And it was like, oh wow, this is a lot, and this hurts. Like, what did you think about that scene, about him actually finally killing and all that?
Well, it like you said, it's not something that we get all the time. So it was again something that I kind of in a way saw coming because in the first episode we get the line from Minato where he shouts to everybody, "Hey, we're all like fighting for our lives right now. Nobody wants to die, including the enemy." So
Hmm.
it kind of and it again initially sets up that this is in fact a world where they are, you're killing your enemy. It's not defeating the enemy.
Hmm.
It's not we're not getting little XP
Points.
points
Yeah.
and that go into our menu as the person just breaks into, a bunch of little fragments or whatever. You're killing the monster. You are ripping body parts or whatever off of it, and you're taking it back to town to sell it because people make monster parts into charms. Like it is making it
Yeah.
real as it can.
Definitely, which is kind of cool. Something we
Yeah,
don't really explore in anime a whole lot, and
not a whole lot.
some anime do go into it. Hello, everybody watching on Twitch. We are doing a live podcast. Just wanted to say hi. We're talking about Grimgar, Ashes, and Illusions, the anime we're watching, episode 1 through 4, and we go through different anime every weekend. We watch kind of like an anime club, and we watch it all together, and we come back here and talk about it. Dan says it could also be like an auto battler game where the one group is the pay to win tier, and they are the free to play tier. Oh boy, yes, totally can relate there. Um, so we
But
get
also, sorry to interrupt. It's
no
just the oh then did I lose it? I might have
what?
lost it. My thought.
That's what you get
Shoot.
for interrupting me.
I know, right? How dare I? Um, go ahead.
Okay, so they go, they finally
It'll
get their
come back.
one kill, and that's sort of the action for the episode, right? And then we get an interesting part in the second half, which is a shopping sequence, sort of. And it goes into like a song break. And this is where, again, where I'm saying this lasted a little long on the still shots, which
Still
was
shot.
okay, which was fine. But the song just went into chorus, and I was like, okay, I thought it was just going to be music. And then it goes into like full words and it's like I was like, oh, this is a full song we're doing in the middle of episode 2, which is a choice while they're doing some like getting together, hanging out. While it looks beautiful, I
Yeah.
cannot say that it doesn't look beautiful. It looks gorgeous. But like in episode 2, what did you think of all of this whole spending the day out shopping
That's
episode
again,
sort of?
I feel like if in episode 1 we had gotten a proper, introduction to these characters and actually kind of understood them as characters before they go into that fight, um I think it would have been a lot better for it because it's really not until that fight happens that we start to see their personalities and their flaws start to emerge.
Mm-hmm.
Where, Renata is gung ho and stuff as he's coming off, he finally struck bone, as he puts it. He's like, that's disgusting. Like he's having
Yeah.
a hard time with that. Then you have Haruhiro, who's realizing we don't have tactics, we don't have plans. So he's actually thinking about things, even though he's not putting it to good use,
Mm-hmm.
at least right now. Yume, we discover, even though she became a hunter, she's not good at using her bow.
Yeah.
So she's kind of relies more in short range attacks because
Also
she doesn't want
the
to hit her allies.
Yeah, also the mage girl is kind of bad at
Yeah,
hitting her shots too. Everybody's kind of bad. Yeah.
everybody's just kind of bad. They
So
fumbled through that first fight for sure, and
yeah,
that fight is what kind of introduces us to them as actual like characters and what they're and their capabilities. Because in the first episode, it doesn't really do a good job at that for sure.
and I like it more now that I think about it. Now that I've already watched all 4 episodes, I like this scene more, like this whole sequence. But at episode 2 it was a little too early, like you're saying. I haven't grown to know them just yet. Maybe if they fought these goblins for 3 episodes or 4 episodes, and then they finally beat one, and then they do this little shopping sequence or whatever, I'll be like, oh my god, like this is crazy. But they can't fight one
I
goblin for
think
four
I,
episodes.
I think it would have been better structured if they had given the characters an introduction where they were have all that fumbling, but in a fight where the goblin gets away, do another one where they struggle just barely to kill it, and then then we can get the new city because they feel like they're comfortable, yada yada. And then after the city, give us the shopping scene where they grow more comfortable with each other, feeling like they have the safety to move deeper into the city, etc. happens.
Yeah, because you
It's
do
just a better
see.
setup for sure.
Yeah, because you in these scenes, you do see a lot of their personality, and I think that's really cool. Like, I love how everybody's doing something different. Everybody's spending their time separately, in showcasing what they're thinking in their head, and you could immediately like start characterizing each other, and they each start becoming more unique. Because in the
And
first
even
episode, I was just like, it's too many people. I don't know who these guys are. I don't know who this is. This guy kind of looks like the other guy. So I was like, I don't
even
know.
that even through the shopping sequence, we're getting characterization out of these guys because we see Moguzo.
Moguzo.
He's like off, just like sewing his little thing, taking care of his sword. And Minato's off taking a nap. Horu and Yume are
Mm-hmm.
they're shopping with each other, each doing these little things that are characterizing them, without even dialogue. They're getting characterized through these little moments, and that's what it does well. But it's the context of the how the characterization is happening that
Yeah.
is what's making it feel like it's off, because we haven't gotten a lot of it before this.
No. So they do the sort of mini shopping episode, and then the Dark Knight, I forgot his name, says that he can accumulate vices to summon a demon, and then I put bat scene later on. But like, we're getting the most character development from the perv guy, and it's like, what are we doing here? What's his significance? And it's just a little interesting because we still up to this point don't really have a reason to care for our main character. He is our narrative. He is our narrator,
Yeah,
and he's driving the narrative along to us. But so far, he's shown that the healer guy, the he's the leader of the thing, and we should be following him, and we're looking at him and how their group is set up. But for this main character, the narrator, we don't have a lot to go off of just yet, and maybe
just
that's
yet.
part of like us them wanting the viewer to put themselves into the main character's role and him being like a hollow shell, maybe, or
I
we're just
think it
viewing it from
goes
that
to
his
I think it
eyes.
goes to speak that at the end of this episode, he had all those questions that he wanted to ask
But he didn't.
Minato, but that means that he's at least thinking about it, and he may feel that like it's a burdenous dynamic to ask Minato about those things, but
Mm-hmm.
struck a position where he's the one who has to manage those things. He is at least in a mindset where he knows what to be worrying about. He might need to talk to everybody in order to find the proper solutions for their problems, but at least he can address, hey, these are the problems that we're facing. That and I think that's something that's at least fleshing him out, as we move towards the next episodes. Like, it took the time, again, 12 episode anime, so it took the time to showcase that he is struggling with those questions but doesn't want to ask them to somebody who he sees as like not only his leader but his friend.
Mm-hmm. Let's get into episode 3, our goblin pouches filled with our dreams. So we go on into episode 3, and what happened?
So Moguzo cooks breakfast for the group before Yume confronts the boys about Renata's behavior, his response leading the group to a fractured morale. They don't bring in much money over the course of the next several days, leading to their clothes to literally begin to decay. They eventually decide on a new hunting ground and begin to map out the area, ambushing goblins split off from larger groups. After returning with fair spoils, the group indulge in some shopping for new gear, weapons, and food. Haruhiro and Minato discuss the potentials for the people that they may have been before coming to Grimgar.
Yeah. So the more I watch, the more I'm just like, I don't know where it's going.
Mhm.
And that's good or bad.
At this point, I honestly thought that Minato was being set up as like a twist villain.
Me too.
I was
Oh
like,
my God.
he's too nice,
I
he's
was
too sincere, and he's in a position of power over people that obviously know that they wouldn't have much without him. He's gonna like they're gonna get in a good position and he's gonna like dip out with all the money or something like that. And then I felt so bad for having those thoughts.
uh, because Minato was like the main focus, right, for a lot of this.
For a
He
while.
was he was
It's like
also
he's getting the second most amount of screen time. He's
sure.
having all of these independent conversations with who's being presented as our main character, and it's just like it's going too well for again how this show has set things up with
Sure.
like, oh, this is a real fight to the death, like we're killing each other, and then they have the emotional breakdown with killing somebody in the second episode. I'm like, this is the surface. Like, this show has to go deeper than this, otherwise why would it be handling the mental trauma of taking a life in the first place? Like, it's got
Yes.
to go deeper.
I thought there was yes, for sure. I had the same thought. And I'll tell you right now, when Bubsy said when your trauma projects on the art. And then Shelbs, thank you for the 500 corgis. We appreciate it. Trigun Stampede. I watched the first couple episodes, two or three episodes, Trigun Stampede, and that's going to be added into the list. So make a note there. Thank you, Shubs, for the 500 bits. Thank you for the
Noted.
corgis. Trigun Stampede. Ooh, that's the newer one, right?
I think so.
I'm pretty sure
Pretty
that's the
sure.
newer one. Yeah, I saw a couple episodes of that. Yeah, the way that he was writing in his little journal, I'm like, what the fuck you writing, bro? What are
And
you
the way
writing over there?
after every fight, he would do the little thing
Bro,
with
I wrote that.
yeah,
I was like,
the
what
with
is he doing?
like,
What is he
and
doing?
it never got
He was just
acknowledged.
like, and what are you doing? Are you healing yourself?
Yeah.
What is this? What are you blessing? Do you believe in a God? Because we find out later they do talk about like God stuff. Does he
Yeah.
actually my main thought was that he wasn't I didn't go as far as thinking he was gonna be a bad guy. Like I didn't think he was gonna be a villain, but I thought that he was pretending to be isekai'd with everybody else. I thought
Mm.
that he was already of this world and he was just pretending to be East God for some reason. That he turned out to be their secret leader, their secret god, or something, maybe. Or he was just trying to do, I don't know what. I don't even know what. I just thought for the most part, he was taking notes of everybody and he was running some kind of test or something that he knew them already and he wouldn't let himself get hurt. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Something was going on with that. There's all
yeah,
these little things going on where I'm like, what's going on? And I'm like, I'm thinking about it, but then yeah, it really, didn't go anywhere with that.
no, what you writing, bro? Bro, he was like there, and I thought they were gonna talk about it because he's like, "Nyum, nyum, nyum, nyum. Okay, good night." And I'm like, "What are you writing, dude? What's going on? Something's there." Shelb says, "I need an excuse to continue the season." I need an excuse to watch it as well. That's kind of what Hell's Paradise is there for as well. Glad I think it was Dan put Hell's Paradise because I need to watch that. Haven't watched that yet. So I thought there was something there for one. But we go into the episode 3. They have no money, they can't afford anything. They even go as drastic to talk about their underwear, about them not being able to buy new underwear and all that stuff, which is something again I don't think about. I don't think about them having to kill goblins. That was one thing where it's like enlightening. I'm like, oh yeah, they're actually killing in this world. It makes sense that these are actual beings and they're killing another being. And then now they're like, well, we didn't have any money to get new underwear. I'm like, oh, never thought about it that way. So that's kind of cool, kind of.
It was
Until
cool kind of until we
until
get the until we get Mr. Intrusive Thoughts over here
yeah.
trying to sneak peeks around the corner and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Um
I and
it
yeah,
never
I just
spends
put
too much time focusing on that stuff. But like I will say, like, even if you were to Like at one point I was like, if I were to take a shot every time it was like showing a gratuitous shot of Yume's backside as she's like bending over or
Or
something,
legs or feet.
I'd be messed up right now. Like,
Mhm.
oh my god.
Yeah, it's all kind of a lot.
So
Um,
it's small things, but it all adds up.
yeah.
It all adds up.
And I did write on this one as well. The healer always does a little thing on his head. That I just like
Yeah,
make a note, make a note.
he's
What is
always
that?
doing his
What
little
is that? Yeah.
diamonds popping up, and I'm like, what are you
Um,
doing?
so they get new underwear, noodles, and all that stuff. They're traversing a new area, which again, it feels very D&D like or very video game like, where they explore this
Especially when
new
they're
area.
drawing a map out.
Yeah, they're
Literally
drawing a
drawing
map
a
out,
map. Yeah.
and the goblins kind of stay in this one little area. It's kind of like a farming area, and I'm like, what's this about? What's going on? But then we also get like a side story with the mage. I forgot her name. Um,
Shihoru?
Shihoru. Well, the black mage, is that who
Yeah.
she is? Yeah, the one with the purple hair. She has this whole little side story, which I hope something happens with that, where she's kind of sort of breaking out of her shell a little bit, trying to talk to a guy. But like, where do you see that story going, or is it just like some little thing?
I have no idea now.
Could it become something bigger? Because like, I want to believe that they wouldn't just put that there just for anything. I really want her to go on a character arc where she becomes the leader or something, or she steps up to be the leader. Like, we're seeing her now as so withdrawn and introverted, and by the end of the show it'll be like, okay, she came out of her
I
shell,
mean,
and then she took all
I
this other
hope
stuff in the
it
beginning.
handles it in a up. I hope it handles everything in an upward swing from this point, and not in a downward swing from where we leave off, because it's definitely going to be quite a challenge for them to overcome the obstacles in front of them. But I feel like, given the fact that they got to experience, they're going through this experience as a group, like they're in a really good place to really kind of do something. It also doesn't give us anything with Renji and Renji's group on what they're doing over on the other side,
No.
wherever in their court, but we know right away that they're making much greater pace than this group. So I don't know. I want to see them like kind of excel and just be able to become a force to be reckoned with, equal to Renji's group, but
I don't think so.
It's a hard call.
We're already into day 23 at Grimgar, and this is where they're at. And seeing all the other, we do get a shot of them, right? We do get a shot of the other group at some point.
We get a shot of them, yes.
And they look
like
they got their shit together. They got their stuff together.
Yeah.
Dan, thank you so much for the 500 bits. Bofuri, never heard of it. We're gonna have to check, make sure it's not a hentai, but Bofuri. If it is, we'll message you to get a different one. But never heard of it. Never. I'll look it up. But Bofuri, 500 bits. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Again, all the bits goes to both of me and Matt. So thank you so much for all the bits today. Appreciate it. This is the last.
Thank you so much.
The last anime that we're going to be talking about before season 2, because it's been a year. We've been doing the Jules and Matt Anime Hour for a year coming up. So we're going to change a little bit of stuff and make some things look pretty cool. And we got some ideas that I think y'all will really like. So that's all. These anime will be added for the list and coming into season 2. Both for these. All right. Yeah, sounds pretty sus. It's the I don't want to get hurt,
Officer,
so I'll max out my vitality one. Right. Officer, there. Take this one away. This one. But thank you so much for the 500 bits. We appreciate it. Season 2, that's where you get a new intro in your magical girl powers. Oh yeah. We all switch it. We all turn into magical girls, and then big old thingy. So it's 23 days into Grimgar. We got the red moon. We got the healer being a little sus, maybe. We got them mapping out this whole thing. It still is a little slow for me. And then we get into episode 4, and everything seems okay. But what happens in episode 4? Sky dancing with Ash.
Minato and Shihoru grab
Can barely hear
groceries
you.
early.
Sorry.
Oop.
Oh,
Hello?
okay.
Minato and
A little loud now.
Shihoru. I'm sorry. Minato and
Just right.
Shihoru grab groceries early in the morning, leading to their excuse me. I'm sorry. Leading to their first direct interaction. The group all showcase their new skills as they take on bigger threats than before, operating more as a cohesive group. Pausing for a moment of reflection, Minato states how they've all come together collectively before an ambush forces the group to make a hasty retreat from the ruined city. Minato, however, would be struck with a crossbow bolt, having him succumb to his injury before the group would be able to provide proper help. The priest guildmaster would explain how resurrection of the dead is impossible. In fact, the dead rise again as lifeless husks should they not be cremated. All the members of the party, experiencing both pain and loss, join together to let loose the ashes of their dear friend.
Dang, bro. It's over.
Episode 4.
And then linger on this shot for 5 hours. So they each get new skills. What do you think of the progression so far between episode 1 through 4? I mean, we kind of talked about it, how they don't know what the hell they're doing in episode 1, and then by episode 4 they have some new skills and they actually look a little coherent with their weapons. Why
Yeah.
don't you talk to that progression of their
It's
skills?
like I like that it's something that's happening. It's like gradual, but this is just me. I don't I want to like know what the course is, like, even if it's just a few lines, what the course of like, did you pay your guild master to like just learn a skill? Like, why, like, what is barring you from just going and learning all the skills right now? Like, just go learn all the skills. What's keeping
because
you
it's
from doing
not gamified, right? Like before,
Yes,
we've seen
exactly.
gamify
That's me.
of isekai shows where they're like, oh, I got a new skill, let me do
Yeah,
it real quick. Oh, cool, I learned it, quote unquote. But this is kind of
exactly.
being the more realistic way, and it's like, how did you learn it though?
Yeah, exactly. So if it's not a game, how did you learn it? How are you executing the skill? Can you just do it, or like do you have to use some resource to do it? Like, is there some, and we see like at some point like they're asking why like his healing magic isn't working, and Shihoru's like, oh well, if he meditates for a second, and they're like, oh, we don't have time for that. So it's like, do they have like mana, energy, like what's going on? But
Uh-huh.
no, like at the end, by the end of this episode, I get it. The show doesn't care about the power scaling of the, like, that's not
Mm-hmm.
what the story isn't focused on that. And I'm okay with that at the point this episode leaves us off at. But I don't know if I would have made it to this episode, honestly.
Oh,
I
okay.
gotta say, like, I just feel like up to this point it had been just a little too generic, a little too overly slow. And I like a slow burn, don't get me wrong, but it's just, you have to be able to balance that burn with intrigue. And there, even at the end of this episode, there's, okay, sure, that's something that should have been set up earlier, like by the first guy that introduced them, like, hey, don't die. And why don't you want to die? Because you'll turn into a walking corpse. Like, why didn't he say that then? Why didn't we get that bit of information then?
Why
We
is
get
this a
it right
surprise
here in the 4th episode. And
when
yeah,
someone's
it
already
has to
dead?
be news to them that could happen. So, you
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying I don't like this show, but I'm just saying it's got me all over the place a little
sure.
bit. For
We
sure.
have some comments from the Twitch viewers at home. Honestly, best thing so far is the painted backgrounds. Kick W, I'll keep watching, but it's not sold on me yet. Yeah, I'm looking at the pretty stuff. It just looks really pretty. I believe they comment about saving up for training. I think you have to pay silver to learn skills. So you got to pay silver to learn it from their masters, I guess, but we don't see that at all, I guess. So we just, it can just be assumed that they would pay silver to go back to their masters, because I did like that part as well, where they each went to their own respective masters to learn their own skills and to learn to be the different classes. Like, that's a cool thing. I mean, that's kind of what a video D&D is, or a Final Fantasy 14 or something like that. But I didn't, I guess I must have missed that where they said that we're gonna save up to go learn from them, and we never see
I
anything of it.
it's like right as they're talking about it. I guess what I mean is like when they say that they went to pay to go do it, like I just yeah, they actually experience some sort of like training routine? Because like in what's his name's case, uh like in sorry, so many names. In Minato's case, all he learned was a bash. Like you had to pay what, 50 silver to learn that you can take your heavily blunted object and bonk somebody on the freaking head with it.
Bro, I could taught you that for free.
Is it that he's channeling his power through it or something? Again, I don't know because we're not getting a lot of power system info. But again, I digress because I know that's not what the show's story cares
Sure,
about, and we talked about that a lot with Black Summoner, and now I have the opposite problems. Where
sure.
in Black Summoner, I wasn't getting what this show's giving, but now this show isn't giving what some of Black Summoner gave, and I want like a combination of them both makes the perfect show to me, but that's what neither of them are.
Sure. But as I said, the power of friendship can't save you from a crossbow bolt, I guess. So we get all of their new skills, which look pretty cool. I really like some of the skills. They look really nice. We
Yeah,
spent
they're
a lot of
animated really
time,
cool.
yeah, we spent a lot of time on Ranta's new skill. Again, we're spending a lot of time on him, which makes me feel like something's going to happen because we get a lot of information about how he has the Zodiac demon who he sort of gets possessed by. And I really want to believe that there's something to that. That he calls him Zodiaco or whatever, Zodiaco. And it's a demon. Oh, yeah, it's just a demon that like, kind of helps me. And it's more like he just kind of possesses me and it helps. And I need to get the final kills to get more stuff. And
That last hit.
I'm like, what is this? There's a lot of time spent on that. So I'm gonna put a pin in that.
I've never heard somebody complain about last hitting more than 80 carries in League of Legends. This guy. In the Dark Knight, I have to be the one to kill them because what is it again? I'm forgetting. I need to get my I forget what they're called.
Something or other.
Said it so many times, stopped listening.
But in this one, we do get also as well, we get the introduction of the Zodiac thing, demon, but then we also get the introduction of gods and other beings, which is really interesting as well. That they're talking about, they don't remember past 2 weeks or now more than 2 weeks ago, but they don't remember all that stuff. But then I guess the people that they're learning from are teaching them of the teachings of gods or the teachings of beings where they get their power from. And I think that's kind of interesting. I think there's something to that. They're trying to flesh out the world a little bit more. And I hope it's for something. I hope that it's for some meaning, that there is going to be some god entering, or the gods is not really there and it's actually more real world grounded, whatever it is. I hope they go into that because I think that's an interesting part of the story they could tell.
That and whatever is going on with the Red Moon, man.
Yeah, what is that? Right? Because we didn't talk about the intro either. The intro music, the intro song was pretty dope. I like the intro. Again, a lot of still shots, motion of still art shots. But the thing that got me, again, another reference to Men in Black, is the little marbles,
Oh yeah,
hitting each other. And
that's
you
what the
can't,
marbles were. I didn't even think about that.
yeah, it's exactly like Men in Black, where they're
Yeah.
just different worlds. In the way at the very beginning, the Earth world, the green one, looks to like gently tap this other world, which I would assume is Grimgar, was pretty cool. And I was like, okay, they just kind of like isekai somewhere else. And there's something going on there. So there's a framework for something bigger here. And I really want to know what it is. And I really hope they get to it. But it's going really slow and it's super grounded unless it ramps up here after episode 4, after episode 6 or something. I don't think we're going to get to it. And I'm really sad because I want to know what's going on in this real world, the real world, and what's happening. Claire said, I think it's a pretty easy sell when there's no faith required. Look, you can do magic by calling on this god. I assume the marbles were people. Maybe. I don't know. I just figured them because of Men in Black. I just thought they were the worlds, pretty much.
That's a good catch. I didn't even know what to think about it, honestly. And I was like, what does that even mean? Yeah.
Narnia is an isekai, and we need to talk about it. Did you read all the Narnia books?
I did
I
not.
think I read the first 3.
I
Oh,
don't
and then
think I ever
Prince
read any of them.
Caspian.
I read the Percy Jackson books, and I read the Lemony Snicket series
all
of
those.
Unfortunate Event books.
Yup, so good.
There's a few other good ones that I read. My older sister had a lot of Goosebumps that I read too. Anyway,
Goosebumps too?
sorry.
No, I just didn't know. I didn't watch any of the Narnia movies or anything. I don't know. It's
I think
Prince,
they only
Prince
adapted
Caspian's the first one.
the Lion, the Witch,
the
and the
fifth.
Wardrobe.
No, there was a couple other ones.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Anyways,
Polar
it's
Express is still the best isekai.
Polar Express.
Yeah, they go to the North Pole.
I guess so. Top 10 isekais. Oh my god. Is it there's a portal and you can go back and forth between the worlds, I thought?
Yeah, that's the wardrobe.
Yeah, but then what's the most famous isekai, the one where they're stuck in a video game?
Sword Art Online.
Sword Art Online, yes. Well, then in the later seasons of Sword Art Online, they can go back and forth, and it's still considered an isekai. I don't know. Tom Hanks confirmed for Grimgar season 2. Okay, we got to finish it. We got to finish this off. We got 10 minutes. So the big leading up point here is that Minato goes down. I thought here during this moment, he was finally going to reveal that he wasn't of this world, that he has way more power than everybody thought, and all that stuff, because that was my headcanon. I was like, oh, he has to be bigger than what these are because he's been the leader. We've saw a lot of him, and there's no way he can die. And then he dies.
The
and
look
I'm like,
on his face when he got hit with the bolt. Well, I mean, also, what's his name? Haruhiro says, it's fine. I could ask him any other time. Or at least that's what I thought. And I threw my hands on my head and I was like, no, I feel so bad. I thought he was evil. He's gonna die.
They did the whole thing where he's like, I'll ask him later about it. And then it was just the single shot of him in the middle of nothing else.
I thought we were gonna get a huge club just smashing him into the ground, but we didn't get that. But we still got something that was bad. I thought it was gonna be the literal just turning point tonally, but the way it got handled, I think that we're still kind of within the same tone that the opening was already going for with the whole this is life or death. But I thought it was really gonna just jump off the deep end, so to speak, and even maybe make Haruhiro have to seek out a new group or something like that, or go as a solo thief, because they talked about a thief should never be the person to go in first. What are we doing? And I thought the show would continue to do something with that. But it's just to showcase they didn't know what they were doing in their first fight.
That they didn't know the thief shouldn't be the one. They haven't figured out roles, I guess. Cece said they try to subvert expectations and it just doesn't hit right. Can
we also talk about the fact that this came out in 2016? So that's this is coming up. I mean, that's what.
Well, when did the manga come out too?
I don't know where the manga.
That was probably before then. So it came out before 2016.
So we've gotten quite a few different anime that have done plot twists and stuff since it came out in 2015. So it only got a year between the manga and the adaptation coming out.
This came out in
2016, so it's not brand new, but it's still newer, relatively speaking. But I think it definitely, if I were to have watched this at that time, I would have been way more just taken aback by the plot twist here. But I've definitely just been able to experience so many other anime since then that like you said, the subversion of expectation, I kind of I knew something was coming. I was like, he's a bad guy. Something's going on with him. I know they're doing something with this character. They're setting him up for something. And right in that moment when he started like talking about how, oh, we're such a good team, blah, blah, blah. I'm like I was so on
Yeah.
edge. I knew something was gonna happen because again, they got too comfortable. You guys are in the goblins headquarter region, and you've been like out here hunting them down. Like aren't they gonna start talking to each other? Aren't they gonna talk about the adventures that have been coming in and just like, poaching like solo adventures? They're gonna send something after you.
Sure.
You're gonna kick the hornet's nest.
And they did, and it all goes down here in episode 4. And how long is too long for funeral scene? I'm just saying, I like the character. We got some adequate time spent with him. We understand what he means to everybody. We understand what everybody means to him. And while it was a big death, they're putting a lot of weight on the death of this character, because for the second half of the episode, it is still shots after still shots and
After
just
still
continued
shots.
still shots.
Still shots.
And I'm just like, it's still going on. And then we get the one movement of the ashes blowing away, and then we stay here for an uncomfortable amount of time. I was very uncomfy. I was just like,
it could have been a whole minute there.
is this it? It was long.
Could have
Yeah,
been
the
a whole
whole
minute.
I want to go back and see how long this took. But like, what do you think about all of this?
No, yeah, it felt weird.
It's something, but it feels like
it's
feels
trying
like they're
to
pushing
trying
time.
to force it down your throat.
Yeah,
and that they're trying to buy time. It feels like it's trying to do two things. Felt like they're like, we really need this 4th episode to get the audience bought in, because everything else that happens after this is going to be, the quote unquote real show. We need this to be in Madoka Magica when I'm forgetting her name, the blonde one, when she loses her head.
Chomp.
Yeah. We need this to be that, because the rest of it, whether or not this moment, hits for them, they're going to either stop watching or they're going to be completely sold. And I mean, they didn't handle it the best, but just because of the setup, the whole, it feels like very D&D. I'm just a sucker for that type of high fantasy stuff. And it kind of it stayed largely away from all the fan service stuff. There are moments of that, of the boyish silliness, but it's not overly abundant, thankfully. So at this point, like, I'm at least interested in what's going to happen.
Sure.
I at least want to see this through to the conclusion based on this part.
Claire says, I feel like the protagonist moving on is less interesting than seeing where a group that just lost a critical person limps on. Yes. I want to see them go crazy. I want to see, I mean, we don't know. I don't know what the next episode is. I haven't seen it. But I want to see them split up. I want this to devastate them for sure. I don't know. I want this to shake them and rethink everything and start questioning where they were before they could remember. Why did everybody just show up together? I want them to go into that. I get you have some skills
nobody's
now.
Even
go into that.
Where did we come from? When's the next batch of people coming in? Like, let's start there. Like, why? Sure. What signaled for us to be brought here, and when are more people coming? Like, start to understand what's going on.
Gotta be honest. We talked a lot more about this show than I thought we would, and I still have a lot to say about this show because I don't know, there wasn't a whole lot, but I feel like there's a lot we can talk about it.
I mean, there's not
the anime hour.
There isn't a whole lot, but there's a whole lot to talk about with this show.
Sure. So that was the first 4 episodes of Grimgar, Ashes and Illusion, Fantasy and Ash, whatever you want to call it. After these 4 episodes, can I get one of your quick predictions? Where do you think the story is going? And hit me with some hot take about what's coming next.
Where where do I want the story to be going? I want to see this group, honestly catch on to some rumor about something that would what's the word for it? I'm sorry. Why is mulligan the word that's coming to my mind? The thing, just the thing in a vacuum that could fix the problem. What's the problem? Our friend's gone and resurrection isn't possible in this world. Maybe they can commune with the gods or something. There's some sort of item like that can like reconstruct him, bring his soul back into this world, or allow it back
and then
into
one
the
of
world
them
they were in before.
And then their
I
main
want them
character
to be able
loses
to leave this world, and I don't want to see them exist in a permanent state, given the fact that it kind of sucks. Like they said, when they were like, your friend needs to be cremated, yada yada yada, because of all this. And Haruhiro, it was kind of a moment that did really hit, where he was like, yeah, I bet that costs money too, huh? It was like so I mean, there's a lot of directions the show could go, but I want to see this group that we have now. I want to see them get out of here and possibly find some way to put the idea of Minato at greater rest than where we're at now.
The word you were looking for was MacGuffin.
The MacGuffin. Ha.
Very close.
Yes.
The mulligan.
The MacGuffin. Yeah. I want them to get clued in on the MacGuffin. The only problem is that there's been no MacGuffin in 4 episodes so far. So I also feel like episode 5 introducing a MacGuffin is a bit late. Sure. But again, they've already talked about the concept of gods. So make gods the MacGuffin. Make it they can find some direct communication channel or something. I don't know. I liked Minato. Yeah. Once he started talking good about the group, and right when I started to actually buy in on him being a good character, that's when they hit us with it. So
sure. I'm gonna stay on this scene for an uncomfortable amount of time while we end the show. So
moment of silence, please.
Moment of silence. I don't know where this show is going. I don't know what's happening. I do want to watch more. That's the thing. I'm not turned off by it. It looks beautiful. So
I'm here for it.
Yeah, we're here for it. We're in this together, and hopefully y'all are here for it as well. We're going to be talking about episode 5 through 8, 5, 6, 7, 8, 4 episodes next week, next Wednesday. We're going to be talking about, so watch episode 5 through 8 of Grimgar, Ashes, and Illusions on Crunchyroll. We would love for you to watch it with us, whether it's great, whether it's not. We're going to be in it together. So we would love for you to watch it with us as well. Bring your comments over here to twitch.tv/JulesTheHuman, and we can talk about it live. Or if you want to watch it later, youtube.com/JulesTheHuman, or on Spotify. You can watch these videos. Matt, when you're not summoned into the world of Grimgar, where can they find you?
Dang, I've been summoned to Grimgar quite often, but when I'm not there, you can find me on my Twitch at Matt_Galley, or you can follow me on any socials. Just add an ITS at it's Matt_Galley. When you're not when you're not trying to remind me what a MacGuffin is, where can the people find you?
When I'm not getting MacGuffed, I am on twitch.tv/JulesTheHuman, JulesTheHuman on all social media. YouTube, posting a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of shorts on TikTok and all that stuff. But you can watch this show again on my YouTube channel. There's a whole playlist of all the anime we watched. And again, this is the last anime we're going to be doing for season 1. So some things are going to be added. We have some cool stuff, cool ideas that we're going to be adding into season 2. We've been doing this for a year, and it's been a whole lot of fun. Thank you for all the continued support, all the bits today. We got to add a couple more anime to the chest of champions. Thank you to everybody that subbed. I know Shelbs did 36 months, which is 12, 24, 36. That's 3 years, which is insane. CZ with the 30 months with the Prime, and Buzzy with the bits and all that stuff, and Shelbs with the bits, Dan with the bits. Thank you so much for all the support. We appreciate it. That goes to me and Matt. So thank you so much. That's been, should we end on this one here? Let's just do it there. I've been JulesTheHuman. That's Matt. And this has been Jules' Anime Hour. Thank you so much. And we'll see you later. Bye.